Here at RecLess, we believe none of us got where we are alone. Every career is shaped by mentors, meaningful conversations, and opportunities to grow. That's why we're excited to offer the 2026 RecLess NRPA Young Professional Scholarship, sponsored in part by our friends at Ben Schaefer Recreation. If you're an emerging parks and recreation professional looking to attend the 2026 NRPA Annual Conference, we'd love to hear your story. Visit our social media or website to apply by July 13th. And speaking of Ben Schaefer Recreation, are you looking to enhance your park or public space? Ben Schaefer Recreation provides much more than playgrounds. They offer inclusive play, dog parks, outdoor fitness and Ninja Warrior style courses, shelters, site furnishings, outdoor musical instruments, shade structures, surfacing, and more. If you're creating a space where people gather, play, exercise, and connect, Ben Schaefer Recreation is ready to help bring your vision to life. Ben Schaefer Recreation, creating places where communities play, connect, and thrive.
Welcome to Season 6 of RecLess, the podcast making you smarter about the field of parks and recreation. Your hosts are Shane Mize, Jay Tryon, and Tom Venniro, three professional friends, if you know, from around the country, bringing you a surprise guest each episode. This project has made an impact, educates others, and continues to support a growing community. Thank you for being part of it. This is RecLess.
Okay, am I the host?
We'll be right back.
You're not, but I will do that right now.
Art Parasalophophilus. Is that close?
Not bad.
Bad. I'm. This is going to be on brand with everything else you know about me, Jay, which is I wasn't into dinosaurs. I wasn't into Star Wars. I wasn't into, I don't know. I wasn't into Star Trek. I wasn't into most of the dumb shit that my friends were all into. Like, I think I could tell you what a T-Rex was, obviously, but I couldn't tell you a Stegosaurus to a Hipposaurus to a whatever, a Saurus. I thought they were making shit up most of the time. It's like band names. I sometimes think they're making that dinosaur name up.
Well, and I feel like dinosaurs go through, like, every couple of years, there's like a new big trend of something. You know, obviously, like when we were younger, like Jurassic Park came out and it was huge, and then they've built off of that. But then there's been like other things too that have made it more popular here and there. And there's always, science museums that have like fossils, and so it's cool. I think all ages can have some sort of resonation of like, something they liked when they were a kid, and it may not be dinosaurs, but there's something like that for everybody. What's up, Tom?
Hey, guys.
Tom, were you a dinosaur kid growing up?
Yeah, to an extent. I love Jurassic Park. I like the new ones too, kind of. Maybe not the last one so much, but the first couple that they had with Chris Pratt. He wasn't in the last one.
First one, and I've never seen any of them since.
Well,
I wasn't a Marvel guy. I didn't like superheroes.
You're not a movie guy though, are you?
No, not really.
I'm a movie guy.
Me too. Shane's a quick hitter. 30 minutes, and other than for some reason he can sit through an entire soccer game, 3 of them in a day, because I could imagine the last time we talked, the World Cup had just started. Since then, you said you watched every game. Since then, there's been some days where there's been 5 or 6. This can't be possible, right?
So y'all know I do a long walk every night. I have it on my phone every night. I've had it at work. Ask anyone that I work with throughout the day. You can see it. So I'm not 100% engaged in every game. And there are a couple games on my DVR that I haven't got to yet, like Ecuador, Caracas, a couple of those types of games I just haven't gotten to. And I might not ever get to. But I'd say I've probably had 80% of the games at least on like a second screen, like at somewhat taking my every night I'd come home and me and Hannah would normally watch something, an old show, West Wing. We've been working through Homeland.
Homeland.
Homeland's good, but
Homeland's easily top 3 or 5 all-time favorite show.
I can't believe we agree on something.
Homeland is incredible. It was filmed in Charlotte too, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't like season 1 as much as I like the other seasons where they start to get a little bit more spy. But yeah, we would normally watch Homeland. We're right in the middle of it, but we put it on a pause, and every night I come home and turn the game on, and Hannah just looks at paper websites or something. But yeah,
Well, with soccer, football, whatever you call it, and I'm not trying to throw out digs, but
oh boy, here
you
it
really
comes.
don't really have to engage. If you have the volume on, the announcers get really loud and really excited the three times that something happens in 95 minutes. So
That is what's fun is you can not only the announcers, you can hear the crowd get excited. Like
yes.
as the ball's going into the box, you can
Close.
start to
And then when nothing happens, yeah. No, that's funny. The reason I smirked when I got on and you guys were talking about the dinosaurs and I see the dinosaur and then you asked me if I was a dinosaur kid. The movie Step Brothers
Yeah.
at the very end when the dad goes, guys, follow your dreams.
Yeah.
When I was a
Be a
kid,
dinosaur.
I always wanted to be a dinosaur. He like starts
And they make fun of him. They're like, "That's so Dad,
you can't be
do
a
that."
dinosaur, Dad. And the gentleman who's the father, he did interviews after. He's like, that was completely
Oh yeah,
ad-libbed, not wrote, not scripted, and they kept it. He's like, this is definitely getting cut, and then they kept it in the movie.
I love those little behind the scenes stuff.
Good times. Well, you guys good? We ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
What kit do you have on? Correct. I'm using the correct terminology.
You
Correct?
did, yeah. It's an away Belgium. My kids loaded me up on Father's Day with cigars and soccer stuff and snacks. So great for me.
Nice.
I can honestly say I've not watched 30 seconds of any game.
Not even the U.S. stuff. You didn't do I like when U.S. ping pong's on in the Olympics, and some people just say, I'm going to watch it just because it's U.S. You haven't even done a U.S. thing.
I haven't. We just finished a new show on Netflix last night that we have binge watched every night this week, and we've been like staying up super late watching it. And
what show? Share?
It's called I Will Find Him.
Oh, I've seen it on Netflix. It looks good.
Like the top show right now, and it's
the actor. He's a movie. He's been in a bunch of movies, I believe. The main actor, correct?
Main actor from Avatar.
Yes, he's the Avatar guy.
I love Avatar. Avatar is another top movie of mine for sure.
I just watched the second one, The Water.
Yeah,
is that and then I was excited because The Fire is the third one, correct?
Fire's third, and then there's a new one coming out.
There's new ones coming. The Fire one, I was really bummed because I finally got to watch the second one, and then it's not out yet on Disney Plus. It's releasing sometime soon.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, we saw it in the theater, and
how does it rank?
See it in the theater does it so much justice because like it's just the special effects, the graphics, the sound, the video. It's one of those movies that it's such a different experience in the theater than it is at home. Because we've seen all three in the theaters. And I love them. They're easily one of my favorite movies of all time as well. So yeah.
Where do you rank the third one?
So it was funny. We had a big debate. My wife and the whole family went. Even Piper went to the theater to see this one. But
thanks for the invite.
I actually say that Fire might be my favorite.
All right.
And Noah and Lindsay were like, no, definitely not. So we were having like a really good conversation after we left the theater. But I loved Fire. It went deeper into different characters.
Okay.
Whereas like the first one, the second one, main character, obviously is Sam Worthington and Sully is what his name is in the movie. And like he's the main character. But this third one focuses more on the mom, the kids, and some other characters that are really cool.
I feel like y'all are making this up. I'm literally looking up Avatar the movie.
Avatar is probably like the highest grossing movie.
It is. It is.
I know there's a movie called Avatar.
The actress is the highest grossing like actor of all time. I
didn't know there were multiple ones and that they dealt with all the elements. When are you getting to phosphate? What are you doing?
You didn't realize that we've been talking about different ones, and you just said, "Oh, I didn't know there were different ones."
I didn't know there were different ones.
You obviously haven't been
The Last Airbender.
I'm not paying attention.
Oh, our guest is probably like already hanging up the phone.
They're blue. They're just blue people. I don't get it.
Okay, I am going to start this officially. So, welcome to RecLess. This is episode 111, and we are a podcast focusing on the industry of park and rec through myself and Shane and Tom. And I am your host today. And obviously, we've already got some shenanigans going on. And I'm going to completely change the entrance of how we do this today.
Is that even allowed?
Are we going to do a movie review?
I should. But instead of doing a typical like one question, I'm going to do some rapid fires for us,
Oh, wow.
and they're going to be this or that. So I'm going to give you two things, and I want to see, I got four different categories. I want to see how many we agree on, whether it's two of us or all three of us. Okay.
Okay.
So the first one is beach trip or mountain adventure.
And I was going to say this or that.
Can I say,
Like, if
is
you have
there-
to pick a vacation this weekend just to do a weekend getaway, would you prefer to go to a beach trip or prefer to go to a mountain adventure?
is there a
No.
neither category?
Nope, you got to pick one.
I'll take mountains.
Okay.
What do you do in the mountains?
He
I
wants
know
to
what
be
you do
alone.
in the beach.
He just wants to be by himself. in
Are
a
you-
mountain.
Are you
Right.
climbing the mountains or
Don't worry
Okay,
about
you know
that.
what?
Actually, here's
I'm
the
gonna-
thing.
I'm gonna go beach.
It's pretty like you can do whatever you want at the beach. You can water surf, you can surf, you can swim, you can lay out in the mountains, you can hike, you can bike, you can do whatever you want. It's up to you.
Okay. Well, I think that the reason that I go beach and the reason that Shane goes mountain are I think
Different.
it's self-explanatory. The mountain, you're more likely to be alone and in solitude. And for me, that's really not my thing. I want to be around people. So the beach, although I'm not a huge water guy, there's other things you can do on the beach. There's people.
So before Jay answers, I'm working on a T-shirt, and it's got our goat. Y'all know our goat things. I've got our goat on the beach at Lake Pflugerville, and it says "resting beach face."
That's a good one.
Not bad.
Thanks.
What'd you choose?
It's beach.
I would say beach. We just got back from the beach and it was great. And especially with the kids. The kids love the beach.
Plus, there's varieties of the mountain trip too, but there's, you can go to Charleston and catch maybe a couple different smaller beaches or a huge beach like in Miami or something like that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Aspen would
variety.
be great this time of year, I think.
I mean, I love both, but if I'm choosing one right now, it's beach. But now you could ask me in 3 months, I might give you a totally different answer.
I probably wouldn't. I'm always mountains.
Okay, next one.
I thought you were going to say I probably wouldn't ask you.
No, that too. So, food one, tacos, soft shell or hard shell?
Oh,
Soft shell, but fried. So I don't like a hard shell, just a basic hard. So, you guys never had fried tacos, just like on a flat top where you make the soft shell and little butter or whatever it might be.
Well, I guess that's what like usually a quesadilla is, like cooked soft shell, if that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like soft. I like a breakfast burrito, throw a bunch of crap in it, and just a nice flour tortilla.
Okay.
Jay, you're a hard taco guy?
I prefer soft, but like once in a while I'll go hard.
Okay.
And what I'll do, like we went out for tacos last week. These are all kind of relative to last week in a way. If I order like individual, I might get like two soft, one hard, just to mix it up.
You like a little crunch every now and then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keeping with the food, sausage or bacon?
Breakfast, right?
Yes, breakfast.
Oh, gosh.
Well, that's breakfast sausage all day.
I agree. Breakfast sausage over bacon.
Yeah, I'm a sausage guy, 100%.
If you're telling me like the
You're
versatility
sausage
of
king.
bacon.
Sausage king here, folks.
That's true. We do. We are in royalties presence right now. I think with bacon, I do like the versatility of that for multiple meals, throwing it on a sandwich or burger, something like that. But yeah, breakfast sausage.
It's
if I had to
too
pick.
easy to screw up. Like some people like it
Yeah. Well,
rarely
nobody likes
cooked.
it.
Some people like
nobody-
it burnt to crap
Wait.
and crispy.
Who likes bacon soft? That's a
Yeah, that's a tragedy.
I like it
slimy
less
and-
cooked versus more cooked. If you're telling me I had two options and it was hard as a rock when you bite it, the whole thing's brittle, or a chewier piece of bacon, I'll go with the chewier piece of bacon.
Okay.
Okay, last one is we were starting the conversation about like, were you a dinosaur kid? When you were a kid, were you more comic books or cartoons?
Oh, that's cartoons. I don't know if I ever looked at a comic book.
Cartoons.
Man, so look at that. We're 3 for 3 on that one. I was cartoons as well. So we do agree on some things.
I think we're the product of an era that doesn't even exist anymore, but the Saturday morning cartoon. It started probably when we were children in the 90s or late 80s, and it probably died when streaming came out.
Yeah.
True. Okay. Well, I'm going to transition over to some information on today's guest, and they have a picture of a dinosaur and a hat,
State Park hat.
which will be
Park ranger
one of
hat.
the clues that we get into here. But today's guest,
Can you pronounce their name?
so we talked about this before. I'm probably going to botch it. Shane said it. What would you say if you have to read that?
Oh, Parasaurolophus.
It's a hard name. Park's hard name.
Yes.
I just said who it was. I said female. So
Half the population.
the guest did say the name to me, but I still am going to botch it if I say it. So I'm going to let them say it when they come on. But today's guest has a diverse background. In 2025, they were named one of NRPA's 30 under 30. Prior to their current role, they worked at one of the most well-known zoos in the country. While working at this zoo, one of their tasks was to make a door taller so an albino kangaroo would stop from hitting their head when they ever had to go to bed. So you never know what a job would be if you're working in the zoo. They've also worked previously at a natural history museum. They're originally from Virginia, but moved to the West Coast in 2014. Our guest sings in a barbershop quartet and a chorus and have competed internationally. Our guest has 2 hermit crabs as pets, and one of them, they've been with them for more than 10 years.
This is very unique.
As you can tell from the picture, they love dinosaurs, and this dinosaur is their favorite. Our guest, along with a lot of other people we've talked to, they just stumbled upon the Park and Rec career. They did not plan for this when they were in school. They work for an agency that features 159 facilities across over 59,000 acres, including parks, camping parks, sports parks, community centers, open space, preserves, historic sites, and has nearly 400 miles of trails. Our guest is responsible for managing a variety of new park and facility construction projects that range anywhere from $500,000 to $14 million. So today's guest is the park project manager for the San Diego County Department of Park and Recreation. Please welcome Riley DeWitt Rickards.
Hello. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Great.
Good to see you.
Okay,
Yeah,
before we even start, how do you say it properly?
Okay, so it's Parasaurolophus.
You made it sound easy.
It sounds so smooth.
Parasaurolophus. Please, one more
I know.
time.
Parasaurolophus. And I love this dinosaur so much. I've forced other people to learn how to spell it by making it my Wi-Fi password at home. So if you want to use my Wi-Fi at home,
Smart.
you have to learn how to spell this dinosaur's name.
That's amazing.
It's a,
That's a commitment.
Let's just hope your neighbors don't listen to this and everyone's going to be
I know.
Free
I won't
Wi-Fi.
say what the name of the Wi-Fi is.
We probably won't talk too much about dinosaurs. Who knows? But this is a very familiar dinosaur from the Jurassic Park movies. I remember them running away from some things. I want to say it's a gentler one, correct?
Yes.
A Vegisaurus, as they say.
Yeah,
A
Vegisaurus.
herbivore. Yes.
Yep. Absolutely.
Well,
and I gave this one a hat.
I love that.
I like the additional hat. That's awesome. As I mentioned to you before the guys joined, I'm just excited for this conversation. We have not had a park project manager, I don't believe, in any recent episode or past episode. And when we were talking just kind of pre-show and via email over the last few weeks and months, like, one of the things you mentioned is that no 2 days are the same. Your job's super exciting. And you've given me some of the projects you've worked on. So I want to just kind of kick it off, like the Village View Park that you recently finished. One of the key elements of that park is a skate park, but you've also mentioned like there's different grants that you had to work with that for local, state, federal sources. Just when you're juggling a project of all different sizes and amenities, what's the approach you take? And can you dive into what that park specifically and that project meant to San Diego County?
Village View Park was a very cool project. As you mentioned, we had a lot of grants, and that was partially because we had such strong community support for the project. It really was catalyzed at the community level. There's a nonprofit in the Fallbrook area, which is a area within San Diego County, that is a skate park nonprofit, and pretty much their main mission was Fallbrook needs a skate park, and it did not have a skate park at the time. So they got together some funds for an initial grant, and then based on that, we were able to go to several other grants, 2 state grants and 1 federal grant to help support the project and really get it off the ground. So from the very beginning, Village View was awesome because the community was super involved. We had a focus group where the community designed the skate park and playground elements. one of the big features is the skate park has a bowl that's shaped like an avocado because
Mhm.
Fallbrook has a strong avocado history. And it's a super deep bowl. I have not skated in it. I'm not proficient with skating, but the community was super excited about it. We opened that September of last year, and it's just been so exciting. Every time I go there, any time of day, the skate park is full of people. The parking lot's full. So it's been really great. And the reason that we had such success was just working closely with the community on the different elements, different user groups for the different areas that we had.
Just from the skate park perspective, I've not been to San Diego, but I do, in my, researching skate parks, because we're building one here and I built one, or at least used to work with one in Mecklenburg County. Skate parks are always very known to be popular in California. How many other skate parks have you been involved in, or was that your first?
This was my first skate park
Okay,
with
cool.
San Diego County. It's not the first skate park in the county, but it was the first one that I had helped be a part of. And it's like you said, every project's different. So skate parks have such specific construction constraints. The amount of concrete you're working with just makes it like an entirely different beast construction
Yeah.
wise compared to a lot of the other horizontal components of the park.
Well, yeah, I was at Greater and Greener last week because it was in Austin. It was a different conference. I've never been to a conference like that. A lot more Park Foundation and Conservancy people are there. One of the sessions I went to, they talked about how every dollar invested in a park is $3 of economic impact. Trust for Public Land, I guess, has recently come out with a study supporting that. And parks are infrastructure. Parks are things that we're all not only managing, but at times have to justify, whether it's the operations and maintenance costs of those parks or the overall big price tag of putting this big new infrastructure and what it costs to purchase the land and the construction and sometimes it's millions, and it's a number that is sticker shock to everyone, for the people on the right side of the political spectrums, people on the left side of the political spectrums at times. But I say for the most part, those folks still get that parks are important. How does San Diego County get those big infrastructure projects? How do you educate the community on the impact of those projects? Do you use the economic development? Do you use the quality of life component? Do you find that y'all meld them somewhere in the middle?
Yeah, thank you. That's an awesome question. I think what helps us a lot with educating the community, again, is looping in the community itself. So something that we have in San Diego County is we have this Parks Land Dedication Ordinance, which basically says, for certain development projects, private development projects, if they get big enough, if they have enough units, then they give a certain amount of money that then needs to be spent on parks. So what we do as part of that process, as part of that ordinance, is all of the different areas within San Diego County, like Fallbrook, for example. There's a group that we send every year, a list that is or their priority list, and we ask, hey, in your community, what are your PLDO priorities? What would you like to see? So in the case of Village View specifically, it was easy to make the argument not only to, our governing officials and people like that, but also other people within the Fallbrook community. This item, it wasn't always called Village View Park. It was, I think, Fallbrook Local Park on a lot of the priority lists. But year after year, it was number one on that priority list, which gave us, a really clear way to say that people within this community are requesting this. So we don't, it's always good to have backup information of like, here's all of the data that points to the fact that parks make life better. And I think that we all know all the reasons why parks make life better, but it really helps, I think, to have the community voice in that specific local area to be able to advocate for it. I think it comes across much more real and tangible than someone from an outside agency, especially San Diego County is a very large by area county. It's 4,300 square miles or something like that. So, like when I went to Fallbrook, I was driving an hour to get there. So,
Oh,
there can be
wow.
a lot of, I know it's a very large spread of area. So, sometimes if you're going into these areas with statistics and things like that, there's kind of an impression of like, oh, this person doesn't even know our community, they don't even know our area. So I always try to start with the local community and say, hey, what do you guys really need and what do you want? And that's a much easier jumping off point.
And just to follow up with that, I think Jamie's episode released this last week. And when we talked to Jamie, she talked in some ways about deferred maintenance, and large agencies just carry more deferred maintenance. Austin, Mecklenburg County, San Diego County, New York, Seattle. The bigger the agency, the more likely you have the volume of parkland. It's just tougher to get to it all, to maintain it all, to upgrade it all. Now, a park project manager probably isn't the person that's doing a lot of repairs and maintenance, one. And two, that fund that you were talking about probably is for new development, not so much maintenance, repair of old. How do you thread that needle where you have people that are like, oh, we're going to do this other skate park and we've got this park that's in disarray or whatever? How does San Diego County say, yeah, those are two different conversations. We do need this general fund dollar to be increased so we can continue to maintain, but we have funding that you can't spend on these things that improve quality of life in these ways. How do y'all educate the public in that way?
Yeah, that's a super great question and something that I
just
think
want to point out two great questions, guys.
Very good questions.
Two great questions already. Thank you.
We spent a lot of time and intentionality with that messaging. So I'm part of a smaller team. We separate our county by area. So I'm on the North County team. We have East County, South County, Central. We also have a major maintenance and improvements team that specifically works on mainly major maintenance improvement projects. So all of that goes into our capital improvement needs assessment, where there's a list that our directors and executive folks look at and say these are all of our.
It's probably a big list, probably a scary list. The overall number on that, yeah,
it is. I have seen the list, and I'm a lover of spreadsheets personally, but I will say that's a scary spreadsheet to look at. There's just a lot of information on it. So I can't give all the details because I'm not usually in those conversations, but I know that from the project manager level, we provide the information again that we get from the communities of like, hey, this is what we're hearing from the community about these specific elements. Again, those priority lists are helpful in that we're able to say the community doesn't have to be they don't have to say, oh, we want a new park on that list. They can just say new elements they want. And I think that there's also a programming component on that priority list that's a separate list. So based on the priorities that we hear from the community of these different areas, including programming, that I think really guides the conversation on which areas we focus our funding on, with the acknowledgement, of course, that we have buildings that we have to maintain, and that's there's a certain amount that when you're building a new building, you need to accept for the rest of that building's life all of the major maintenance costs that are going to come from that.
Sure.
Just a quick follow-up on the same topic. When you're reaching out to these neighborhoods for their goals and what they want accomplished, is it just every individual that lives there? Is it community leaders? Is it, certain groups? Is it the elected officials as a whole? And they kind of go back to those groups individually, or how are you gaining the info from everyone, or is it just certain groups?
Yeah. Great question as well.
+1 boo. Point. No. You haven't listened to the show. That's not how that works. You can't just start.
Okay, sorry. I won't grab
just
the
me.
Points.
All
is this
me,
like
yeah.
a whose line is it anyway
That's
situation?
Right. Absolutely.
Points don't matter. Okay.
That's right.
We're a little competitive.
Yeah, very fair. So the answer is it depends on the specific project, the specific community. I personally like to take the approach of meeting communities where they're at and where they're already meeting. You can host, specific meetings for whether it's priority lists or for, new projects themselves to spread the word, but finding out where a community is already meeting and going there. For the PLDO list specifically, we have like certain community planning groups, and the list goes to the chair of that group specifically. So then we'll usually go to those community planning group meetings and just let the public know who we are. Those meetings are open to the public and just explaining to the chair and folks like, this is who we are, this is what we're asking for from the list. Please get this information from your community and these priorities from your community members because they tend to have a better idea of how to reach the community members in that specific area.
We'll be right back.
Hey, listener, July is here, which means it's Parks and Rec month. This year, our friends at NRPA are celebrating the power of Parks and Recreation. All month long, NRPA and Park and Rec professionals all across the country will be highlighting all the ways Parks and Recreation has power to bring people together, support well-being, and strengthen our communities. Throughout July, NRPA will share stories, resources, and ways to celebrate the incredible work happening in the Parks and Rec communities all across the country. Parks and Rec Month is a wonderful opportunity to highlight the essential role Parks and Recreation plays in building stronger, healthier, more connected communities, and we hope you'll join us in celebrating this year. Learn how you can get involved and access this year's resources like graphics, plug-and-play messaging, and sample media posts. Find all of that and more at nrpa.org/July. That is nrpa.org/July. Don't miss out on a chance to attend NRPA with a scholarship from RecLess. Visit RecLess Pod for more information and follow us on socials to stay up to date. The deadline is July 13th. RecLessPod.com.
And now, on to the show.
You know, what I'm seeing is correct. San Diego County is one of the largest populated cities in the country,
Yeah.
let alone California, right? It's in the top 5 or something like that. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
it's fifth largest county by population, I think.
So that's a lot. That's pretty large. And so we just had Emmy Richards on a few, what was it, maybe 4 or so, 5 episodes ago.
Yeah.
And we spoke a lot about small agencies. And so let's, use the contrast here of the large agency. I think this for me too, it's fascinating because I work for a relatively smaller agency. Can you maybe paint a picture of, I'm fascinated by how you got involved with San Diego County and are at the level that you're in. And it's such a huge system. And I think it'd be great for people to understand how large of a system that it is. Can you maybe kind of paint us a picture of what, I know it's that you probably have, hundreds or even thousands staff. I don't know, but what does that look like? What does the system look like? How does kind of I guess a high level of the hierarchy, and how did you get involved with such a large agency for those out there who might be interested in pursuing getting involved with a larger agency?
Great question.
She's
Sorry,
just handing them out.
Sorry, I couldn't help myself. I had at least one for each. So a very broad picture of San Diego County. And again, I work in one division within departments of Park and Rec. So there's other people that can speak more to some of the other pieces, but we have several hundred staff. I don't want to say an exact number because I don't know the latest, but at our awards ceremony, I think we always have like at least 200 or 300 people in attendance, including rangers, development staff like me. We have our development division, operations division. We have the resource management division who handle environmental, and we have in California the CEQA, California Environmental Quality Act, and they help us navigate a lot of those. And then we have our administrative functions, finance, front desk staff. We have volunteer coordinator. We have IT. We have
We have it all.
Yeah, all of the functions that you can think of. There's a specific person or group of people doing that role. So, and we have a director. We have several deputy directors. Several chiefs for each division. I want to say in the development division at any given time, we have somewhere like 15 project managers, 10 to 15, because we have, every year we are opening new park facilities. So we have people working round the clock on opening new facilities. As far as how I got involved by accident, as I think Jay mentioned, so I used to work at the San Diego Zoo Safari Park, which is part of the San Diego Zoo, but it's the north location where There's more open field spaces. There's a large research institute.
Is the
And
zoo a county? Is that a county operated?
it is not. It
It's
is
not. It's
not. It's a
private. Okay.
private, yeah.
Okay.
But I used to work there, and I worked in a similar role of construction project management. So I either built new or mostly refurbished existing exhibits. And it turns out that building playgrounds for animals and people isn't that different.
Yeah, it's
So
funny.
um, at some point, the position just came up for San Diego County, and I found myself really drawn to the mission focus of it, of just, you have these, working at the zoo is great, and I loved my time at the zoo, but there was always a little piece of me that I was like, I wish we could reach everybody, but there's, of course, a ticket price and things like that. But working for San Diego County, all of these or most parks are completely free, no charge to use, and I really liked that. So for me specifically, that's how I sort of came in adjacent the Parks
Okay.
and Rec through construction field.
And you started at so you mentioned your project manager position. Is that the position? Is that the first position you had with the county?
Yes, with the county. That was the
Okay.
first position I've had.
So one follow-up question on that whole structure piece. Again, the amount of projects you have, the amount of land and space, when there's 15 or so other project managers, is it siloed where you're working on your projects, or is it a team effort where you might be working in tandem with another project manager? Or yeah, do you all have your own areas, or how does that
Yeah,
work?
it's so we have our division is split into teams that focus on different areas. So I'm on the North team, and we have,
Okay.
don't want to forget anybody. We have 5 of us on the North team. Had to make sure to count. And each team has that. When we're working on our projects, the development project manager, that's our project. We don't have like assistant project managers or anything like that. It's just us. But that being said, we all benefit from communicating with each other about the similar challenges we're having. Things like permitting requirements, trends in CEQA, things that we're hearing from the community that we might want to preemptively install on a new project to get ahead of it, things like that. We also work, so I'm the development division project manager, but I work very, very closely with my operations manager for that area. So, for example, for Village View Park, there's an operations region manager that controls this area of the county, Fallbrook, and a few other areas, and he manages all of the parks within that. So when we were building the project, I worked very closely with him, and he was involved in a lot of the meetings to really steer the design in a lot of ways. So we had the community on the one hand, and then who I consider our internal stakeholder of the operations team to say, they're ultimately going to be the ones that need to use this irrigation system. They're going to be maintaining the restroom. They're going to be dealing with any circulation issues in the parking lot. So I need to have them involved throughout the project. So we work very closely with the operations team. The way I kind of like to think about it is if we were all on a ship, right? I would imagine that the captain of the ship who's deciding the destination is a mix of the community and the operations team, the end users of the facility. I'm more like the first mate, where once you tell me where we're going, I will do whatever we need to do to get us there. That's the role that I've
That
assigned
was
myself.
great. And Shane's a huge fan of
I love,
metaphors.
Oh, yeah.
I love the metaphors.
That's my metaphor.
Well, it's funny because we're building a rec center in Pflugerville, and I was talking to my team the other day about how it's like a restaurant, and you have a chef that has to be creative. I know, right? And be creative and design the menu and design the taste that we're going after. But you also have to have a health inspector, and you got to have someone that finances it. You have to have someone that purchases equipment and stuff. And so, like, it's fascinating that we always think that I always think, but I assume for the most part, we as Parks and Rec people are mostly recreation, right? That it's not. There are so many people in Parks and Rec, and I hope this podcast has done a better job of exposing the world. But when people think of Parks and Rec, they think of just the camp coordinator, right? And the camp coordinator is the creative. It's the person that says, I've got 8 hours today to keep these kids happy. And we get better as an industry when the person that is the inline user of those spaces is working with someone like Riley to make sure those spaces have what we need to do a really good job being creative, to do a really good job of being creative safely, to doing, permits part of that, right? Risk management is part of that. Making sure that I'm not doing a zip line across Main Street is part of that process. And so, like, I love that you've worked at a zoo, and it's full of educational people who probably want to educate the world on the porcupines, right, Jay? Is that what's at a zoo?
I was going to ask her, do you think a porcupine is a very common animal in a zoo?
Um, I
That's
this might
probably
be a
all we need to
very
hear. That's probably all. The and the pause is probably the only answer. I said porcupines at a zoo one time and I've never lived it down, but
I have seen a
think
porcupine at a zoo.
yes, thank you.
I will say.
I think
I'm not saying they don't ever exist, but it's
not
not a
common.
common
Right.
animal at most zoos.
Not like a seahorse. Is that what you're saying?
Aquarium, yes. Two
But-
different things. Aquariums and
I-
zoos are different.
I think it's amazing. I think it's amazing that Riley works in an industry both at the zoo and now in parks where she's trying to provide spaces for those creatives, trying to provide spaces for those inline users. And we don't think about it enough. And when we don't talk very well to each other, the frustration that we've all felt as an inline creator, we're being like, man, this space is fine, but I'd love it if it had blank and blank. And Riley saying, I talked to the operations person because this place is beautiful, but it costs so much to maintain, or it takes 8 hours a day to landscape and weed when we should have zero scaped here, or whatever. Those are the things that our industry doesn't always do a great job of. And we have to do a better job of not just building a rec center and then the day it opens is the first day I was involved, but more importantly, the day it's open, the programming team was the first day they were involved, and the aquatics team is the first day they were involved, because they would have told me a year and a half ago, what are you putting the bend in the aquatic space there? Because now I've got to have a lifeguard there because you've just created a sightline issue or whatever it is. And so I think this has been a great conversation, because when I hear you were at a zoo and I hear you're at a county park system, I think, oh, this traditional path. No, you're doing it in a unique way, but you're providing those spaces for those more traditional quote unquote park and rec professionals that we all just think of when we think of Parks and Rec.
Well, and I think to add to that, what's really great about the conversation so far with Riley, and I think hopefully others will take some things away like this, is the perspective and the viewpoints that you've mentioned of like getting the input from the community that lives there, getting the input from staff from different divisions and different departments, because yes, you're one of the park project managers, and obviously like you might be designing it and working with construction companies and working with the contractors to get things done. But at the end of the day, like it's also going to get turned over to all the other divisions and other staff that are involved. So if you don't get them involved and have their viewpoint on something, that's not going to be the most effective and efficient for your team as a whole or for the users in the end game. So that's awesome. I will also, what you got, Shane?
Well, I was going to say to that point, I would love to hear it either before or after Jay's next question. Like, and you don't have to burn anybody in San Diego County, but has it ever been frustrating for you to build something and then you don't see it being used in the way you thought it was, or programmed in the way you thought it was? Or like, they said they needed this, so I worked really hard and threaded the needle to give them this, and then they're not even feeding 3 times a day or highlighting that the feeding is right in front of this viewing space or whatever it was. Like, because I'd imagine that would be where I'd find my joy, is I did the things that they wanted, and then you go revisit a site and you're like, oh God, they're not maximizing these spaces at all. Like that would, I'm afraid that'd be terribly frustrating for me,
Yeah. For San Diego County specifically, thankfully, I have not had that experience. Everyone, every time I go to Village View, I'm just so impressed with the amount that it gets used by the end users, but also how our operations team is taking care of it, and as well as bringing new programs and new opportunities there for people. It's just incredible. I'm blown away every time I go to Village View. It's very satisfying. I have had that experience before at
Let's
other
go.
places. Not to I choose to burn bridges at the places I'm no longer working.
Mark.
No, the zoo was also really great. I would say that at the zoo, some of the stuff that I found sometimes was a not as much of a lack of use from what would be the zoo's version of rangers, like the keepers that we're working for. It was more from the guest perspective sometimes, where it felt like there wasn't always a real good grasp of what would be great for the end user of the guest attending the zoo, which I think makes a lot of sense because we didn't have the same structure where, I could go and have a round table with some zoo guests and say, "Hey, what would you like to see?" There just wasn't that sort of relationship. So I think that was something that sometimes I was frustrated with of just like, is this really helping the guest experience here specifically? But then there were a bunch of times where I didn't feel like that, and I saw guests interacting with what we installed, and I was like, yeah, this is great. Um, so it's a mixed bag.
So I want to ask you a question that might get a little vulnerable, but I'm just curious to get your take on this because I mentioned earlier that you were awarded one of the 30 under 30, and all of the park project managers that I've met over the years are not under 30. That's just a very blanket statement to say. And I would assume, and I could be wrong in assuming this, that other project managers in your department are not under 30. Has that been a challenge for you? Have you been ever, situate in a situation where, your opinion or your viewpoint may not be as valuable as others? And how have you overcome that?
Yeah, that is a really good question and one that I have definitely faced. It's something that I have to proactively plan for in my position. So, I would say it's a positive and a negative. Working in the construction world, it's often works against me a little bit. I purposefully try, when I'm meeting either a consultant or a contractor for the first time, I actually try to do it over the phone and without having them having seen me ever.
Yeah.
To try to just get a base relationship started where I establish that, hey, I'm the authority in this situation. I'm going to be the one administering this contract. I'm going to be the one reviewing your work. And then we can meet, and then they see me in person. I'm also 5'3" and, little, so that doesn't help either. But yeah, people see me and they're like, "Oh, are you, you're young? Do you have experience?" And I'm like, I've been working in construction at this point for almost 10 years, just about 8 or 9. So I do have the experience, but there is a something working against me in construction specifically. There's also the gender thing
Yeah, being a
in
female.
construction. Yeah, exactly. So I have those that I very proactively at the start of a project think about how I'm going to interact in that way. I will say on the flip side of that, I think I have an easier time sometimes with the community. I find that people are not as ready to be hostile with me. I've gotten the comment a lot that I remind people of their children.
Yeah.
Things like that where a situation where I think that one of my project manager colleagues would potentially get yelled at or things like that. If I'm there in person, and which is why I like to be there in person so that, someone has to be dealing with the physical me. I find that it can be a little bit of a boon in that way where some other people might not be given the same grace that I'm given at community meetings.
I love that you mentioned both. I mean, yeah, being a female and a young female is not easy in any construction, right? Not park construction, probably not home construction, not building construction. I couldn't imagine what construction someone would be doing where they would be like, oh, yeah. In general, the construction folks would be like, oh, she's a female and young. She knows what she's doing like that. But I love that you're like, it can also be a superpower, right? It can make you, it can be the yin and the yang. Like you can go into almost any public engagement spot and you can engage them in a way that maybe others couldn't have. And I love that you find the strengths to it as well, right? It's what makes the Enigma different.
Mhm.
Yeah.
When you mentioned 30 under 30, that's something that I think all of us are always plugged into, partly because one of our dear friends, Michael Biedenstein, has been the champion of it from the very beginning. Um, what did that do for you, your career in the county? Like that had to be great for you, especially, as a young female. That had to be like, oh, there's validation right there that she knows what she's doing in this industry.
Yeah, honestly, the biggest thing that it did for me was just a confidence boost. I was like, okay, yeah, I think you guys have talked on the show about imposter syndrome before, and I
Mhm.
won't get into all of that, but you know, it- definitely being a young professional in a not traditionally young profession,
Right.
uh, there were d times where I had strong imposter syndrome, and I was like, I can see that I am doing good work, and I hear from community members that they like interacting with me and all of these things, but there is always that sort of concern of like, do I have the experience? Would it be better if there was someone older with more experience doing this? So I think that that award really just helped me be like, no, I'm doing great, and I'm good at my job, and it can be a real benefit to a department to have a diversity of ages as well. I mean, we have lots of little projects where, not construction projects, but like administration type projects where I think I'm able to provide insight that might not be available otherwise on like, hey, here's youth trends in technology, especially with developing conversations about AI and things like that. I think it's just good to have a broad range of people, not just with age, but with gender, with race, everything. It's good to have a lot of diversity.
Love that.
You know, I want to maybe keep going down the line of this, the 30 under 30 and NRPA. And how long have you been with the county?
Just about a little over 4 years now.
4 years. So I kind of want to ask what's your professional development look like for someone in a position like yours?
Yeah.
I think Shane said it earlier. If you go to an NRPA conference and there's 9,000 people there, 7,000 are probably rec
Right.
Yeah.
individuals, right? And Shane, you and I have agencies where we send park, and from a small agency to send to park operations, it's I think that's even more unheard of, and I'm very proud of the fact that we're able to do that, and Phil gets a lot out of that, and it's great for us to be able to bring that back because I don't think that a lot of agencies of our size necessarily get exposed. Phil, you have Junior, who's always there doing his own thing, and it
Yep.
seems like it's very beneficial for him. Even the networking piece alone is, even if he's just hanging out with some rec people. But have you been to an RPA conference, Riley? And I guess even if the majority of our listeners, all five of them, if four of them are recreation individuals and one was in the park field, those four rec people can go back to their parks teams and say, we had a park project manager on, and this is what they get out of professional development. I'd love to hear that from your perspective because even as a parks and rec director, now it's great because I have a parks division individual who I could send to all of that.
Yeah.
But even when I didn't, I was splitting time between all of the different various topics. So yeah, tell us about that. What does it look for you? What do you get out of it, and what would you advise other people in your shoes to make of it, to attend and
hmm
navigate that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the last NRPA I was able to make it to was in Phoenix, which I can't remember. Was that
A couple years ago now. Yep.
23? Yeah.
Yep.
And it was awesome. I enjoyed it so much. I think what I got a lot out of it. Yeah, one, I should preface, I'm horrible at networking. I'm really bad about going out of my way proactively to network. So a lot of what I enjoy at conferences are the classes. And particularly in my field, I enjoy a lot of the conversations around design trends coming up in various parks, what people are doing. Grants, that's always a big one. Like anytime I can get into a class about what the current grant environment, both at the federal level, if I'm at CPRS, which is our state conference at the state level, I always find those incredibly helpful. I've been noodling on the idea of there's like classes that I would like to see that for specifically construction within the parks world. I'm like, I want a class that's like what you should be looking for on a construction site that's not good, that, that someone who's operating a site, like even if you're not a project manager, you just might be seeing a site and you're like, that doesn't look right. I would like there to be a class that's like, these are all the things
Are you
that you
thinking
should be
about
looking for.
submitting?
I was
I was gonna
thinking about it.
say,
I
yeah,
was thinking about it, but
I'd love
um,
to see a session like that. And
I
Jay,
agree.
your time on the program committee, I think it would have scored well.
cool.
I agree for sure. I think, and I almost wonder if we've seen like a shift of more non-traditional positions, the non-programmers that are attending some conference like this, because you do see ones, and that's not as frequent as it probably should be, but you do see some of those sessions pop up. I've seen sessions on grants. I've seen sessions. Obviously, there's a lot on trends, and you could always everyone can benefit from a trends session in some design. But I've also seen, and Shane, I think you've even maybe helped out with one of these, seen a lot on facility design that have come up because you've had, is it MBS or MRS?
BRS. BRS.
BRS. Yeah, like I know they've been probably the last several years, they've done a session on what they've learned from building rec centers. And
Yeah.
I think one of the ones that was speaking at it last year was one of the things that they talked about from one of our regional centers here in Charlotte in Mecklenburg County. So there may not be as much as there probably could or should be, but there are definitely benefits for some sessions that are there for you and for everyone in
Mhm.
that position.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've loved the session. I have, anytime I go to a conference, I have like a little notebook that's all of the classes and I write stuff down. And I always come with just way more insights or I always leave with more insights than I came with. And I take it back to my team. Anybody who goes to conference, we come back to the development team and give like a real quick and dirty of like, here's all the things that we learned about. And it's incredibly beneficial. So I'm hoping I can get back to another one sometime soon. But yeah, usually those are the topics that I lean towards are all of those non-standard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even I should have said this, I should have prefaced, even the California,
Mhm.
state conference, that's huge. That's one of the probably one of the largest ones I would assume. So even attending that, you mentioned the stereotypes that you're up against, the construction world being dominated by those that might be longer in the tooth, those that might be primarily male. I think also in your position, your field, the training and going to sessions, that's a fight sometimes to
Hmm.
get other individual. I don't know if you all see that or not, but it is. And it's got to start somewhere. So with someone like you or in our case, Phil or Junior, to see that those individuals are making the effort to better their toolkit or build their toolkit through going to these other opportunities when for whatever reason, it just doesn't feel like, again, it could be a stereotype, but it's almost as if they don't want to. And
Mm.
it's important. I feel like it's important, and again, it's the tone is set from individuals like yourself that get a lot out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there in the absence of professional development, like let's say you can't go to an RPA every year, you're a big agency and you got to share that and other people have to go, right? Is there a agency you look at that are designing parks that you're like, oh man, I'd love to do it like LA County or
Ooh.
this town in Phoenix is doing this incredible thing or whatever it is. Are there parks or trends that you're seeing that you're just like, yeah, that they're doing it the right way, or I'm very jealous of that they got to be involved in that park? Or is there a park that
Yeah.
inspires you in that way?
Oh man, every time I travel, I'm probably the most annoying person to travel with for my friends because I'm always like I have to visit at least one local park while I'm in this city. So I'm always on the lookout for yeah, just trends like that. One park that I was or one um community that I was just blown away with recently was Anchorage, Alaska.
Oh wow.
And just the parks there were so beautiful and lots of little like pocket parks. And I think it was at CPRS. I think it was at CPRS. There was a really great session that was about accessibility in parks and how agencies go through prioritizing accessibility improvements because depending on the size of your agency, that's just a huge task of where do we even start. And I think it was Anchorage. I'll feel bad if this is another Alaskan city. Sorry if it is,
We're not
but
huge in
there's
Alaska. It's going to be fine.
yeah.
If
So
you were in Djibouti, we'd be in trouble, but no, Alaska's.
True story.
yeah. Um, yeah, I can't remember if it was Anchorage. I think it was Anchorage, but they had this really awesome plan that showed that scored all of their current parks and gave an assessment of how they were prioritizing moving forward. And I just thought that was really innovative. There's no one specific agency or city I would say that I look to all the time. I think all of us have different things that we're good at. I know that there's every time I'm in New York, I go to a different little park. There's so many cool parks in New York City. There's that one that I think is on a landfill. Is it in San Fran? I'm very fascinated. I'm about to have a landfill project, so I'm always looking at landfill park projects. But yeah, I think that there's a lot of agencies. Pretty much any agency you look at, there's something that they're doing really well that you can and take back home with you.
Love
That's
that.
what I try to do anyway.
So one thing to look into is you just said that about the landfill. Virginia Beach has a park called Mount Trashmore, and
Really?
it is actually like I think one of their most popular parks. It's a larger park, but I just Googled it and it says in the late 60s or 70s, the city converted a 640,000 ton pile of garbage into the nation's first landfill park. So,
Wow.
and we've had their director on this show before, Michael Kirschman. He's a phenomenal person. If you want, we can connect you to him and he could probably talk all about it. And but yeah, that's one to think about if you're looking into a project like that.
Yeah, that's
And it's
awesome.
a pretty unique name.
Yeah,
That's a great name.
that is
It
a
is
great
great.
name. Yeah, and I love
Uh,
Virginia Beach. It's beautiful out there.
It is. Riley, so one more question for you before we rapid fire and go into some quick hitters is, I mentioned earlier, and you've mentioned it, that every day's different and every project's different. And a lot of times, we've talked about park projects, but you've also mentioned to me the Mira Mesa Epicenter,
Mhm.
which is a very different project than a traditional, park project that you've looked at. If you can talk about that for a minute and, kind of like gets us thinking and gets the listeners thinking about like we do a lot more than just parks
Mhm.
because Mira Mesa is a prime example of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Mira Mesa Epicenter is my big project working on right now. It's a renovation project for a building that has been abandoned for 10 years, and we are turning it into a youth-focused community center. The building has such cool history. It was built as a library in, I think, the early 70s. And then it became a concert venue for a while. And there's cool videos of like Maroon 5 and I think Macklemore and other big names playing and just like a crowd of bodies in the
I've
room.
heard of both of those names,
I
by
was
the way.
gonna say
Yeah.
Shane's thinking you're making it up.
I've
No,
heard of
no,
that.
you can look it up. Mira Mesa Epicenter, Maroon 5. There's video on YouTube of them from
Cool.
like, I don't know, 2008 or something. But so it's got this really cool history. Then it was a teen center for a while and then just fell into disrepair. It's also super interesting because it's actually a City of San Diego building that the County of San Diego is leasing to turn into this youth-focused community center. So we've been in construction for about a year now, a little bit more than a year, and we're basically just taking this old building and refurbishing it into something that can be used for the community. There's a high school right across the street that we've been working with a lot on basically what amenities would supplement what they already have at the high school. So we tried not to, they have some really cool facilities there, and we were like, we're going to focus on stuff that you don't necessarily have there. So we've got a game room, a music room. There's going to be a practice kitchen, community space with audio visual equipment, pickleball, basketball court, and a open lawn area. But it's just been a real treasure of a project, getting to work so closely with the community and having the community be so excited to have this amenity back. It was sort of like a lost, there's this sense of communal loss of like, oh, everybody remembers the epicenter. We all loved the epicenter. And later this year we get to bring it back and use it in a
Cool.
new way. And I'm
That's
really
awesome.
excited about it.
That's
Really
really cool.
cool. It just shows like the uniqueness of what Park and Rec can offer. It's not just parks, it's not just trails and rec centers. It's just kind of everything in between, and providing a space for everyone. Cool. I want to transition over to what we call our little rapid fire and just ask you some quick hitters, and just curious to get your take on some things that come to mind fast. So I'll kick it off and just ask you. I've only been to California twice, okay, and both times were different cities. I went to San Francisco for a wedding, and I was in Anaheim for the conference, which was probably like 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of San Diego, where is your favorite city in California for someone to come visit?
Okay. All right. Definitely outside of San Diego, because San Diego is my favorite.
No, San Diego's on my list already. So that's why I said outside, because I already plan on going there at some point soon, hopefully.
Yeah. Okay. There's, I don't know if it's technically a city, but Big Sur up the coast. It's just south of Monterey. There's a really cool park spot. I apologize, I can't remember what it's called, but if you look up Big Sur, you can go camping in the redwoods.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and it's very beautiful. Just really can get in touch with nature there. So I recommend that for like a parks focus. There's a little tiny town called Avila Beach up the coast of San Diego that I would recommend for like if you're looking for a beach getaway, very California vibe city.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, I have a cousin has lived in San Diego for a while. He's stationed there, and just heard great things. I've heard that I've got a coworker, retired actually now, but gentleman who went to San Diego for a little trip, went to the ballpark, and said that's one of the best baseball parks in all of major leagues.
Mm-hmm.
So, for as much as I know of San Diego and how much I hear how great it is, the food scene's got to be it's got to be massive, number one. But
yes.
So it's probably impossible for you to pick one or two. But what are we getting? What are we all getting when we go to San Diego?
Oh man, I have I'm a big foodie. We actually have once a month in our office, we have International Foodie Day, the last Thursday of every month. And
Love it.
we bring
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's so, and I live in a very food heavy neighborhood within San Diego as well. If I had to pick one,
is it the tacos? Is it?
I know.
Yeah.
I know that probably tacos and Mexican food are like the go-to for a lot of people in San Diego. And they're so good. I struggle to eat tacos anywhere else. I would probably say I'm gonna go with a dumpling house that's near us that I like a lot. Joy's Dumplings. I don't know if it's specifically San Diego. I think there's a few different locations, but it's just so good. I'm a big dumpling fan.
That's cool.
Same.
Side note, there was a San Diego guy that had a food truck here in Austin called Diego's, and it was San Diego tacos. And Hannah and I used to go, used to enjoy those when it was closer. I think he's moved on, but that was a great place to eat. You lit up a little bit when Tom said Padres, so it seems like maybe you're a sports fan of some capacity. Are you a sports fan?
No, yeah.
and if so, are you a World Cup? More importantly, let's get to soccer. Are you a soccer fan?
I do. So I enjoy watching soccer, and I played, back when I was in like middle school, elementary school. I have not been keeping up with the World Cup except through my neighbors. I've been like working on, I've got homework and stuff that I've been working on the past few days, but I've heard whenever there's an exciting goal, I hear
they just go nuts. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all you need is sound in the background.
Yeah. By proxy, I have been experiencing the World Cup, but no, I haven't been watching.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you a dinosaur question.
Yay.
And
me too.
Oh,
Sure.
I am not. I don't even know if they existed. I'm trying to wrap my head around that.
I want to like totally put you on the spot. And if you had to choose a favorite dinosaur for each one of us, just by what you've heard
like
from
vibes.
us, just
Sure.
from the short vibes we've gotten today.
Is the question favorite or which dinosaur we're most like?
I think it'd be kind of, I mean, you can go both if you want, but I do like as a child, you probably had a favorite dinosaur, right? Shane, even if you weren't a dinosaur guy.
I mean, T-Rex, I guess. I don't know. I knew nothing about it.
Now you just ruined the game.
Yeah, but she heard me and Jay talking ahead of time. I was like, I never saw anything. I barely saw Jurassic Park.
No, but like I did a little homework, and like started looking at different, like I did not realize how many different types of dinosaurs
A
there
lot.
are.
There's a lot.
Like I think you see Jurassic Park and
There's
everyone
like
knows
10.
T-Rex, everyone knows a Stegosaurus or a Velociraptor. Like, there's 6 or 7 that people could probably name, but there's hundreds.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. So if you are open and willing, just
Yes.
one that would fit us for each of us that you would think of
Okay.
right now.
Sure. Okay. So for Shane, I'm gonna go since I already know that you said T-Rex, I'm gonna put a little spin on it.
Okay.
And there's a dinosaur called I think it's pronounced Tyrannus, which is
Okay.
basically a T-Rex, but it's fuzzy.
Let's go. That makes the most sense.
Shane eats a
So-
lot of protein too, just
That's
steak
right.
and eggs.
It's short-armed and fuzzy. Let's go. I like it.
That's great.
So that's probably what I'd go with. For Jay, I'm just going in the order I see on
Sure.
Zoom. For Jay, I'm gonna say a Utah Raptor, which is what, so Jurassic Park, I'm sure you've heard the whole debate. Like Velociraptors are misnamed in Jurassic Park. What you actually see in Jurassic Park is closer to like a Utah Raptor. Velociraptors were these tiny little guys.
Oh,
So the true Utah Raptor is what I would go with.
nice.
I like it.
For Tom, I'm gonna go with
You have a real docile vegan one for him.
I was gonna go with I think it's called Styracosaurus, which is very similar to a Triceratops, but it's got more fun frill horn situation. So I don't know, just a little
that.
flavor.
I
I
love
like
that.
it.
Yeah, you can definitely tell. I've, listening to y'all's conversation beforehand, and Shane, you mentioning not being into dinosaurs. I have a strong belief that as a kid, you're either sorted into liking dinosaurs, trains and cars, construction equipment, or space. One of those four.
I love that.
Hmm.
Trains and cars all day.
There you go.
I think that's pretty good, and because
I think it is.
honestly,
Yeah.
honestly, out of the four, I definitely related to dinosaurs more than the other three. Like I like
Dinosaur
cars. Yeah, when I grew up, I started getting more into, like not cars. I'm not a car person, but a racetrack with Hot Wheels, which was more
Mhm.
competitive, like racing against someone. But yeah, space and construction just weren't my thing. But I know that there are kids who just eat all of that up.
I don't care about NASA or space. I didn't, yeah. But I got an old 94 Bronco, and I would ride a train across the country before I would fly if I could. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
I love the cross-country train ride is very cool, by the way. I've done that from San Diego to DC. It's very nice.
Okay. Well, my question, the second dinosaur question, and this is, I feel almost embarrassed because you're so knowledgeable on dinosaurs. So you may totally look down on the Jurassic Park series, but I was gonna ask if have you seen them all?
Oh yeah. No,
Okay.
yeah,
And
yeah. Oh, go for it.
my preference being the first three versus the next set. I
Right.
should say maybe the Chris Pratt ones. I feel like the last one that came out with Scarlett Johansson didn't really. It kind of picked off, but it really didn't pick off too. It's like its own movie. So the
Yeah.
first set versus the second set, original,
Yeah.
and they met, right? Those two
Uh-huh.
sets met in the I guess the sixth one.
Yeah,
So yes.
absolutely. So yes, I do. I love Jurassic Park. Velociraptor issue notwithstanding, I love Jurassic Park a lot. It was my favorite book as a kid, my favorite movie as a kid. I remember I did a book report on Jurassic Park when I was in like fourth grade, and my teacher, was like, "Oh, you can't just watch the movie." I was like, "No, I have read this book 3 times. Like, I read this." So I definitely prefer the first three. My take is that the second three, if you look at the plots of them, are literally just the first three again. And, I think that it's cool that they added so many new dinosaurs in the second three. I think in six, there's a shot of a Therizinosaurus who's like, I call him the tickle chicken. He's got like really long claws
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he's an herbivore. So I enjoyed seeing the more dinosaurs, but you can't beat the originals.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think the first one, yeah, you really made me go back to my childhood because I didn't know if I was a dinosaur person, but when you said the four, I was obsessed with the movie Jurassic Park. Like it was
Mhm.
just, and I don't think that first one can ever be beat.
No, and
Just
it holds up today. All
it
of the
does.
like
It does.
the animatronics, the T-Rex
Yeah.
animatronics, so good. The water moving on the truck. You know how they attach giant guitar strings to the bottom of that truck to make that effect. I love practical
It's cool.
effects like that.
I watched Jurassic Park, the first one, and never watched any of them again. And I don't know if I could tell you much from that movie, but I am relieved that of all the dinosaurs, you didn't compare me to the tickle chicken. That's all. I'm just happy that that's not the one you referred me to.
Tickle
Not too
chicken
late to
is scary
change.
though. That's a scary looking
It
thing,
is a
man.
scary looking dinosaur.
Yeah, it's not one of the it doesn't look like what a tickle chicken would look like in your
Yeah,
mind.
I
yeah.
posed next to a butterfly one time, and I've never lived it down. If you'd have called me a tickle
True
chicken
story.
on here, I'd have never. I would have been able to overcome it. So, in your state of relax, right? So you've had some imposter syndrome. You're trying to get away. You know, where would we find you, and what are you doing?
Just like outside of work, just on my own time.
Yep. If you could, and it could be anywhere. It could be a place you want to go, or you haven't been, or a place you love to go to. What is
Mm.
getting away from it all look like for you?
I'm very much a homebody, I would say. So most of the time it would just be sitting down with a book at home, but I love sitting down with a book anywhere. We've been talking about going to Banff, which I've been to Banff before and I love Banff, so that might be one of the places I would say. Basically anywhere you have a view of the water, I would say. That's why I live in San Diego, so I can
Yeah.
see the ocean all the time.
So you're
So
beach
you're
versus
yeah,
mountain.
you're a beach.
Yeah. To answer the four questions from the beginning, it's definitely beach, soft shell taco,
Yep.
sausage, and cartoons.
Let's
All right.
go.
It's right on
right.
par. I have one more question. I don't know if we wanted to wrap it up, but I do have one more question because I really appreciate when people are very passionate about their hobbies. And so, I mess with Shane about his soccer, but he's so passionate about it. He's taught me so many things about the game through text and conversations, and I appreciate that. Your one of the hobbies that you mentioned, obviously, in addition to the love of dinosaurs, and please excuse me if I didn't listen very well, but was it Barber's Quartet? Or
Yeah. Yep.
can you?
Yeah, barbershop
I just
quartet.
want to hear about that.
Yeah.
So my experience with that is the Dapper Dans in Disney,
Yeah.
and
That's a good experience.
other than that, I don't have much. How does one get into that? Do you have a favorite song?
Yeah.
Do you have a group of 4 or 5 of you that get together and do this?
Yes, absolutely. So I actually stumbled into it through work, ironically. One of my coworkers here, another park project manager, has been a long time barber shopper, and he heard that when I was in college, I was in an a cappella group, like very pitch perfect style a cappella
Fun.
group, and he heard that, and he was like, "You gotta come to this barbershop chorus." And I was a little hesitant at first, I will say, because it sounds like a very just like old-timey thing. I was like, I don't know anything about it. But then I went and I got hooked. I met a group of people that I still sing with. We're a barbershop quartet named Midnight Laundry. And we get together and we do performances for nonprofits for anybody who asks. We've done fundraisers for like Singagram, Valentine's Day things for nonprofits. We recently sang our first wedding gig, which was interesting. I had to clarify when they asked us. I was like, we're not a string quartet, right? Like, but they were like, no, we want barbershop like with the little boater hats and everything.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So yes, I do sing with them. We compete in a chorus and we compete, a couple times a year at the local and international level. It's a lot of fun. It's my third space for sure.
Wow. Cool.
That is really cool. Well, Riley, this was awesome. I think we all learned a lot about what you're doing in San Diego, about just the project management side of our industry. And I'm so thankful for the time, and I know others will be as well. So appreciate your time, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. It's been
Thanks, Riley.
really awesome to talk about.
Yeah, and
Thank
if
Nice
you.
to meet
you
you.
get out to a
Yes.
future NRPA conference, let us know.
Yeah,
And who
absolutely.
knows? Maybe Shane and Tom and I can try to get out to the California State Conference.
There
That
you
would be
go.
awesome.
That'd be cool. I thought that you were going to say maybe Shane and Tom and I can join you as a barbershop quartet.
That'd be fun. Sure. NRPA, barbershop
That's right.
quartet. I think
Well,
it could be exciting.
I mean,
And you have to have a
I've-
lot of knowledge of like voice range too, so you could probably tell us exactly where we need to be. And
We're in trouble.
Sure.
I can tell you right now.
yeah. I mean, I will try anything once, but I don't know if there will be a demand for others to listen or see that.
Most
No.
likely not.
Hey, even if it's just for your own satisfaction, that's okay too.
Awesome. Well,
Thanks
thank
for
you so
coming
much,
on.
Riley.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Great to meet you.
You
See ya.
too.
Bye.
Well, fascinating. She's a
That was
fascinating person.
Yeah, really, really
Yeah, that
fun.
was a lot of fun. And I love diving into like other sides of the industry that we don't talk about that much. And especially with someone that is passionate about it and just can totally like just on a fly, like just speak on it so professionally, but also speak on it passionately and also like hopefully like make us realize like the importance of some of the attributes that you talked about with like sharing things with their departments and getting
Yeah,
with
oh
the
yeah,
community and all these different things that we talked about.
yeah. She had a lot of great feedback, and we talk about the differences between small and large agencies a lot, and it's kind of why I wanted to ask that. What it felt like to me too, and not that we need to get too far into it, but you had mentioned talking with the other park planners, so the other pods there. It's kind of like what I'm used to is we talk to the other departments in our county
Mhm.
about all of those challenges. We don't have that in our own agency, but we do that, and that makes us better. We talk to you and to Jay, and so the fact that they have that whole system to rely on and kind of work together collaboratively within their own agency is just that's got to be such a strength to have the power in numbers.
Yeah.
And to have her driving it. Jay, you said passion. That if you could
Yeah.
bottle that up, every department would buy a little of that. Like she
Mhm.
Totally.
is a knowledgeable person, but she cares, it seems like, so much about the impact that what she's doing on all the projects she's working on. And man, that is, I don't want to say it's rare because I don't know every project manager in the world, but I will say of the people I've worked with, especially externally on some of that stuff, it seems pretty rare. Like San Diego County is very fortunate to have her.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
It's
Cool.
awesome to get to know her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm going to
Great
try to
guest.
Google fuzzy T Rex, but just maybe not on a work computer.
Good idea.
Smart.
And maybe Shane, if there's any openings after the World Cup, you can watch another Jurassic Park movie and just realize that you're missing out because they are great movies.
Or an
I don't know.
Avatar. I know
I
I
don't
know
know.
we're talking more about dinosaurs today, but he's never
I
seen
looked
an
up Avatar. It's like blue. They're blue people, and they're not even humans, are they? They're like,
So what you have to understand is half the movie is the avatar, and half the movie is like actual human beings. So it's when we are, I say we, it's the whole premise of the show is there's another world out there that these blue people, and that's their human race is the blue people. And the human race, us as humans, are taking over that planet. So they're actually trying to like literally take all of the items in that earth, in their planet, so they are turned into avatars to try to live with them, to like try to help them, if that makes any sense. Like the term avatar is used in a variety of methods. Like if you play a video game, like you're an avatar. Like if you're playing a third person game, you're an avatar. So human beings like you and I in the movie will actually turn themselves into what they are is the Navi. The Navi is the race of the blue people.
So
I can talk about it for hours.
their brain moves into a host body that
Correct.
is the blue
Yes.
people that can consume all of the elements levels that a human can't in that world because of different oxygen and all that.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating stuff, and I believe the main character he was sent to, I think he was sent to battle, so to speak, or he was on the bad side, and then he got converted by the humans that were there to help the Avatar. So, Shane, I'll just tell you, you can watch the movie if you want to watch Avatar Light, because all of the movies are 2.5 hours. There's a brand new Disney movie that came out called Hoppers. It's about they created this thing, and it's about a little girl who goes inside of a beaver's mind and becomes a beaver. And part way in the movie, they rip off Avatar. She's like, so this is basically the same thing as Avatar, and it kind of is. So if you want to
That's funny.
if you want to get a light version of it or
I got
kids
some
version,
homework. My question is, how many World Cup games would Jay watch for me to watch an Avatar movie?
One
How
for
many would
one.
you like me to watch?
I think it's got to be hour for hour. So like
So
you'd
that's
have to
like
watch
one
two
game.
World Cup games for one Avatar movie.
So here's a funny thing I'll say really quick about the World Cup is I have a friend of mine, one of my best friends that live here. He's from Spain. His family lives in Spain. So like obviously like he is
They're
rooting
watching it.
hard for Spain. And the year he got married is the year Spain won the World Cup.
Yeah.
And it was going on here in Charlotte. And all his family was here from
Mhm.
Spain. And it was like the day after his wedding. So I actually we went to this huge watch party. It was the most soccer I ever watched in my entire life. Well, long story short, he went to Atlanta when they played last week. The whole family went. And this is kind of one of my beefs with soccer. Okay. So you take a road trip, you drive 4 hours, you pay these tickets, you're spending in a hotel room, and
Yep.
the score was 0-0. So, like, I'm doing all of this. I'm putting in a ton of money, energy to a 0-0 game. Like, I can't, like, I just don't get into that. Like, I want there to be a winner and a loser.
That's because the team that played Spain set up in a block in such a way that there's no way they could play an open game with Spain. And so they had to set up deep. They had to set behind the ball. And the strategy there is amazing. And Tom has talked a little about soccer, but he's had to see me live and die with sometimes Tottenham is in the lead or sometimes Tottenham's behind. And there is a strategy in trying to nick that ball to somehow get a goal at the last second so we can get a draw so we can stay up or so they can get the points needed so they can go to the knockout round or whatever. And so I get it's not for everyone, but I actually love a 0-0 draw because there is so much strategy in that happening and there's a team fighting so hard and you're trying to break them down. You just can't,
Yeah, Jay, you know how when you're down in a basketball game or up in a basketball game, obviously you play that different, you attack it differently, or football. I mean, I think that's probably standard for everything. But I never really understood what it was like in soccer. And when I say that Shane's taught me a lot about soccer, like I understand the game of soccer, playing and scoring and offsides and rules. I mean, I've played some soccer. It's the way that the leagues work and the strategy at the highest levels.
Yeah.
And Shane, you're sharing with me. There's some science behind when you're down 2 goals versus down 1 goal or up 2 goals versus up 1 goal and the strengths of the other team. It's fascinating how it changes. Just like you said, the 1 goal it makes so much difference.
Yeah.
I mean, Spain's one of the best teams in the world. They played Cape Verde, which is a small island off the coast of Africa, and Cape Verde getting that draw is one of the biggest things in their history.
That's an upset, right?
Yeah,
yes, you told me
they won that game. They won 0-0. They to them they won.
Exactly. Yeah,
it
you were
took
telling
everything.
me that. Like
they have like a 40-year-old goalie. Like it was amazing. So it takes different appreciations for it, though. I get it.
No, but I would say like what's interesting to what Tom just said about like when you're up by a big lead, like you play different. You should. And I love basketball. We've talked about this. Like I watched every NBA Finals game, and the game that the Spurs were up 28, they didn't switch. They hit a NBA record, 14 3-pointers in the first half, and they ended up shooting like 20 more in the second half, but they missed like almost all of them. And that's the reason why they lost the game.
Take the easy buckets.
If they would have actually like slowed down,
ball.
like slow tempo, like use the shot clock and actually not just chucked up threes, they would have won that game. But because they just tried to shoot them like they did the first half, they lost the game and they lost the series because of it.
So you hit on a great point. And what I find fascinating about soccer that most people don't is that when they were down 28 points, you can feel momentum changing. Yep. But in reality, even in your head, you're like, yeah, but they're 28 points down. They're 26 points down. It takes so long to get to that. The great thing about soccer, being up 2-1 or 1-0, is that any mistake can change the whole game. Where you would have to have, you're gonna make 70% of your shots, so you've got to make 40. You got to take 40 shots to get this 28-point difference delta. The crazy thing about soccer is 2-0, one nick of a ball, and now you're down 1, and there's 15 minutes, and it's the most fascinating 15 minutes I find in sports is that anything can now happen in that 2-1 game versus that 2-0 game when it would take a series of incredible shots to get 28-point delta made up for. So that's why I love soccer, because it can just like that turn.
Now back to the topic of watching and having you watch Avatar. Is Djibouti in it? Because I watched Djibouti.
No, they didn't. They didn't make it.
Well, there goes that.
There it goes. Well, some things just aren't meant to be.
Maybe if we were together, I'd watch it.
Yeah.
I'd probably have to, because you probably wouldn't leave the house
But
anyway.
would
What's
you
funny-
watch Avatar together?
Yeah, I would watch Avatar together. Well, when Tom called me that one Tottenham game, and I was like living and dying with it, and so then he'd reach out to me, and we'd text those last couple of games. Like, I think the community space of Tom seeing me being emotional, being like, "Oh my God, we need this goal. We got this freaking goal!" Like that is part of the watching experience. So, watching with your friend from Spain would have been so much fun, and it's like the gateway drug. Like that's how some people do get hooked, is they find a team or they get hooked on something, and so then they can go through. Yeah,
I got a close buddy he's a huge. I've never, Jay, you understand this, and Shane, you understand. You both understand this, but Jay, I don't really know where you get it from because you're from where I'm from, but college sports, it's not really a thing here. Syracuse is. So Syracuse kind of with basketball at one point or time. But anyway,
you're closer to Syracuse than I was.
Right. Correct.
Because
So
it's not.
yeah, you get it. And so I never really understood it until I started traveling. And my buddy, though, who grew up here, somehow he got into it, and he's a huge Michigan State fan. And he'll come home typically, I want to say it's like around Thanksgiving. Around that weekend, they always play Ohio State. It's like it's on the calendar and it's towards the end of the season at that point. And we watch the game. We get a bunch of buddies together and we watch the game, and I'm instantly a Michigan fan. I don't care about anything they're doing the entire season, but I'm immersed into the experience with someone that I'm sharing that experience with. So that's kind of, Shane, to your point of like the soccer, when those Tottenham games, those last like 5 or 6, like I'm not watching them, but I'm following them along, and I'm trying to understand where they are in the game and every little thing that happens. It's fascinating, and it's cool to be a part of other people's passions.
When goals are so hard to come by, but they're so impactful, like a 1-0 score is a huge thing. It actually magnifies like the mistake. So like you can fall down and a guy can get a touchdown, and you can be, you know what, we're going to have the possession 3 or 4 more times. We can get 3 or 4 more touchdowns.
I get that.
But with soccer, it's like that dude fell down and they're not going to get near that goal again, and so the next 30 minutes of trying to figure out how to nick something or get a corner kick so we can load the box and maybe get a header in is the thrill of it for me. But it's, I get that not everyone enjoys it.
We'll put a disclaimer on this episode that the last 10 minutes had nothing to do with anything. So feel free to tune out.
That's right.
It's just proof that we haven't talked.
That's right. We haven't talked in a while.
This is very true.
Okay. Well, this was good, guys. Well, I appreciate all of the education I'm learning. Okay.
There you go.
I don't know that I'm going to go home and watch a game tonight, but I can say that I've learned more about soccer.
I've learned more about Avatar too.
Yeah. Blue people. The blue
That's right.
People.
That's right. See you, fellas.
But next time, guys.
See you next time.
Here at RecLess, we love to give back to the community that we're so passionate about. We do that by providing scholarships to professionals to attend conferences they may not otherwise be able to attend. That's where you come in, sponsorships. If you are interested in a sponsorship, we'd love to connect with you. So this spot could be yours. Contact us today at recklesspod@gmail.com or check us out at recklesspod.com for more details.
This episode of RecLess wouldn't have been possible without the support of our agencies and our better halves, Melissa Salatino, Lindsay Tryon, and our executive producer, Hannah Mize. We also want to thank our director of hashtags and swag, Rooney Taylor, and our team of junior producers, Luke, James, Elizabeth, Grant, and Harper. Stay up to date on all things RecLess by following all of our social media, and like and subscribe wherever you get your podcast to ensure you don't miss an episode. See you next time on RecLess.